Once upon a time, in a dense and ancient forest, there lived an old owl named Oliver. Oliver was no ordinary owl. He was known far and wide as the wisest creature in the forest. His large, piercing eyes seemed to see everything, and his calm, thoughtful demeanor earned him the respect of all the animals. Whenever there was a dispute or a problem, the animals would gather around the great oak tree where Oliver lived, seeking his advice. Oliver's wisdom didn't come from books or magic. It came from years of observing the world around him. He had seen the changing of the seasons, the rise and fall of kingdoms, and the countless struggles and triumphs of the forest creatures. He had learned that true wisdom lay not in speaking often, but in listening carefully and thinking deeply. One sunny morning, a young rabbit named Rosie hopped up to Oliver's tree. Rosie was full of energy and curiosity, but she often found herself in trouble because she acted before she thought. She had heard stories about Oliver's wisdom and decided to seek his guidance. "Wise Oliver," Rosie called out, looking up at the owl perched on a high branch. "Can you teach me how to be as wise as you?" Oliver blinked his large eyes and tilted his head. "Why do you seek wisdom, young one?" Rosie thought for a moment. "I want to make good decisions and avoid trouble. I want to be respected, just like you." Oliver nodded slowly. "Wisdom is a valuable gift, but it cannot be given. It must be earned through patience, observation, and reflection." "Yes, I am," Rosie said eagerly. Oliver flew down from his branch and landed gracefully beside Rosie. "The first lesson of wisdom is this: listen more and speak less." Rosie tilted her head, confused. "But how will anyone know what I think if I don't speak?" Oliver smiled. "When you listen, you learn. When you speak, you only repeat what you already know. The world is full of knowledge, but you must be still and attentive to hear it." To demonstrate, Oliver led Rosie to a nearby stream. They sat quietly, listening to the sounds of the forest, the rustling leaves, the chirping birds, and the bubbling water. At first, Rosie fidgeted impatiently, but soon she began to notice things she had never paid attention to before. She heard the distant call of a deer, the soft hum of bees, and the gentle whisper of the wind. "I never realized how much I was missing," Rosie said in awe. Oliver nodded. "The more you listen, the more you understand. And understanding is the foundation of wisdom." The next day, Rosie returned to Oliver's tree for her second lesson. "What will you teach me today?" she asked. "Today," Oliver said, "you will learn to observe carefully." He led Rosie to a clearing where a group of ants was busy carrying food to their colony. "Watch them closely," Oliver instructed. "What do you see?" Rosie crouched down and observed the ants. She noticed how they worked together, how they communicated, and how they never gave up, even when the food was much larger than they were. "They're so determined," Rosie said, "and they help each other." "Exactly," Oliver replied. "By observing, you can learn valuable lessons from even the smallest creatures. The world is full of teachers, but you must open your eyes to see them." On the third day, Oliver taught Rosie the most important lesson of all. "Wisdom is not just about listening and observing," he said. "It's also about thinking before you act." To illustrate this, Oliver told Rosie a story about a young fox. The fox was clever but impulsive. One day, he saw a juicy grapevine hanging high above him. Without thinking, he leaped to reach the grapes, but missed and fell into a thorny bush. Hurt and embarrassed, the fox limped away, declaring that the grapes were probably sour anyway.